Нихуя себе, блядь, ты шо? Шо ты, еба? Нихуя себе.
On the night of December 23rd, Ukraine faced one of the most intense and complex aerial assaults since the beginning of the war. While cities prepared for winter nights and power demand peaked due to cold temperatures, the sky above Ukraine filled with the sound of engines, explosions, and air defense fire. According to official Ukrainian Air Force data, Russia launched a massive combined strike involving 673 aerial attack assets in a single night. This was not a routine bombardment. It was a carefully coordinated operation combining hundreds of strike drones with cruise and hypersonic missiles, targeting Ukraine's most critical lifelines. Energy infrastructure, power generation facilities, and urban-adjacent civilian systems once again became the battlefield. According to Ukraine's Air Force, radio-technical troops detected and tracked 673 aerial attack vehicles during the December 23rd assault. This number alone makes the attack one of the largest combined aerial operations of the war. The assault unfolded over several hours, beginning late at night and continuing into the early morning, a timing that maximizes surprise, strains air defense crews, and coincides with peak electricity usage during winter. The scale suggests a deliberate attempt not just to damage infrastructure, but to overwhelm Ukraine's detection, tracking, and interception capabilities. The attack was multi-directional, with drones and missiles approaching from different vectors, forcing Ukrainian defenses to operate at full capacity across multiple regions simultaneously. Out of the 673 aerial targets detected, 635 were strike UAVs, while 38 were air and ground-launched missiles. The overwhelming reliance on drones highlights a strategic shift toward saturation attacks. The drones used were primarily Geran-2 strike UAVs, along with Herbera UAVs of various types. The Geran-2 has become a cornerstone of Russian long-range strike operations. It is relatively inexpensive, slow-moving, and noisy, yet extremely effective when deployed in large numbers. Its purpose is not only destruction but also attrition, forcing air defenses to expend costly missiles and revealing radar positions. The Herbera UAVs are believed to play supporting roles such as reconnaissance, decoy operations, and electronic interference. Their presence increases confusion and makes it harder for defenders to quickly identify real threats. Alongside the drone swarm, Russia launched 38 missiles, carefully selected for precision and penetration. Among them were 3 Kh-47M2 Kinzhal aeroballistic hypersonic missiles, one of Russia's most advanced weapons. The Kinzhal travels at hypersonic speed, follows an unpredictable trajectory, and is extremely difficult to intercept. Its use suggests high-value targets were chosen. In addition, Kh-101 air-launched cruise missiles were used. These missiles are known for their long range, low radar visibility, and high accuracy, making them suitable for striking infrastructure deep inside Ukraine. The attack also included Iskander-K cruise missiles, launched from ground-based platforms and designed to fly at low altitude to evade radar detection. This combination of drones, cruise missiles, and hypersonic weapons reflects a layered strike doctrine. Drones exhaust defenses, cruise missiles exploit gaps, and hypersonic missiles target the most critical or hardened facilities. The main focus of the December 23rd attack was clearly Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Power generation and distribution systems were deliberately targeted, particularly thermal power plants and major transmission networks. These facilities are essential during winter, when heating, water supply, hospitals, and communications depend heavily on uninterrupted electricity. As a result of the strikes, widespread blackouts were reported across multiple regions, including areas in western Ukraine that are usually less affected. Emergency power shutdowns were implemented to stabilize the grid and prevent cascading failures. Damage to substations and transmission lines forced energy operators to ration electricity and conduct urgent repairs under difficult conditions. The strategic goal was evident: disrupt energy availability during winter, increase pressure on civilians, and strain the Ukrainian government's ability to maintain normal life while supporting military operations. Although energy facilities were the primary target, the consequences extended into urban and civilian areas. Reports emerged of fires in residential neighborhoods near Kiev and other cities, caused either by direct strikes or by debris from intercepted missiles and drones. Buildings suffered structural damage, windows were shattered, and emergency services were deployed across multiple locations. Transport and logistics infrastructure was also affected. There were reports of impacts near railway lines and port-related facilities, which are crucial for both civilian supply chains and military logistics. Even when not directly targeted, these systems are vulnerable due to their proximity to energy nodes and industrial zones. As with many large-scale attacks, civilians were not the intended primary targets, but they bore a significant portion of the consequences. Ukraine stated that the attack was repelled by a comprehensive, multi-layered air defense effort. According to official statements, the response involved fighter aircraft, surface-to-air missile systems, electronic warfare units, unmanned defense platforms, and mobile fire groups operating across the country. Ukrainian forces claimed that 621 out of the 673 aerial targets were destroyed or suppressed. This includes 587 Geran-2 and Herbera UAVs, as well as 34 Kh-101 and Iskander-K cruise missiles. If accurate, this would represent an exceptionally high interception rate, especially considering the volume and diversity of the attack. Electronic warfare reportedly played a key role, disrupting drone navigation and communication, causing some UAVs to crash or veer off course without direct interception. Despite these claims, it is important to stress that the interception numbers have not yet been independently verified. There is no complete external confirmation from neutral sources, and full battlefield assessments take time. Additionally, Ukrainian reports often include targets that were suppressed, meaning they may have been diverted rather than physically destroyed. Even a limited number of successful strikes can still cause significant infrastructure damage, particularly when power grids and transmission hubs are involved. Therefore, while Ukraine's air defense performance appears strong, the exact effectiveness remains uncertain. This uncertainty does not negate Ukraine's defensive success, but it highlights the fog of war and the role of information management during ongoing conflict. Until now, that's all for today, and thanks for watching.